This is Sean. His SMMA has made his clients over $300 million in just the last 3 years. And the crazy part is, he only takes on 15 clients. What's even more insane is that he started with a few $100s. On this episode, I convince him to share his greatest advertising secrets.
Any client we take on, that client can scale at least to 50 or 100.
And how anyone can build an SMMA from scratch. This video is a complete masterclass on advertising and how to win in the agency space in 2023. Let's dive in. All right, guys, we've got Sean Henry in the house. And really excited to have this entrepreneur on the podcast. As you know, if you've been following along on the podcast, we've been interviewing a lot of teenagers that hit 10K a month or maybe 100K a month agency owners. So I wanted to completely disrupt that and bring a savage in the SMMA space on the pod. And Sean is truly a legend in this space because he's on a mission to make his clients $1 billion. And what's also really interesting is that all of the people that we've had on the podcast, a lot of them are local lead gen or maybe e-com agencies. And we actually haven't had an agency that follows your model. And what Sean does is he has a high ticket agency. He only works with about 15 clients, but he makes sure that those 15 clients make a shit ton of money. So I know that right now in the past 3 years, you've done over 300 million in rev.
Yep.
For your
100%
for your clients. And the goal is 1 billion by when?
Yeah, $1 billion a year. We're trying to do that within the next 2 years. So yeah, last year we did a little over 120. Which is, I guess, like a little over a tenth of the way there, but we're growing super fast. So that's the goal, man. We have to level up, but that's like, I think what's like so exciting about it is like getting to, at the end of the day, like, I think it's just that competitive part of me, like, to be clear, like it kind of like the way I see it is when we hit that goal, it puts us almost like unequivocally, and at least in our space, like head and heels above like anybody else that's in the space. And like, I know a lot of people in this space. I love a lot of people in this space. This is just like internally for me. Like, I just like am incredibly driven to make that happen.
That's awesome, man. I would love to start with like, how did you get into SMMA? How did you go from 0 to now I run this massive, it's really cool because you've set it up with such a lean team, but they're killers. And then you have really amazing clients. How did you go from 0 to that? Like, tell us your story in SMMA.
Yeah, man. So I started my first company when I was 15. It was a software business, acquired it. So the long story short is, I was trying to figure out how to make money as a kid, and I did manual labor, basically installing fence posts, got $500 from a friend's dad doing that. Took 200 of it and bought the rights to basically like own this productivity software for parents and employers to make sure they knew like what's going on their devices, make sure that people were being productive. And so I spent $200 to buy it, spent $100. Yeah, not bad.
It's pretty cheap for
It's just
software.
like on online forums, like people like just build these pieces of software and you can like, buy the rights to basically sell it and like own it. So bought that, spent $100 and I had no idea, like this is all I had to figure all this out. I spent $100 to figure out how to fix it with like an Indian VA because it was like a little bit broken. And then from there,
and this was at 15.
It was 15. Yeah.
And you
played a lot of video games, man, so I was spending a lot of time on the computer.
Dude, you knew about VAs at 15. That's
I had to figure it out, like it was literally like, I was like, well, it's kind of broken. Like who can fix this? And then I was like, well, people in the US are going to charge me a lot of money. So I like just had to figure it out. And then I had $200. I had to figure out how to sell it. So, basically like paid advertising was the only way that I could figure out. And this is like early days. So like 2000 and when was that? It was 2000, like I think 14, 2013. Yeah. So like almost 10 years ago. But yeah, just had to figure out how to market it. And then so over the course of that summer, turned that like $500 into.
Wait, so you did Facebook ads or?
Yeah, ran Facebook ads, Google form, like posting like basically in different marketplaces, like, and then was able to build that up to.
You were just like, I'm going to log into the ads manager and figure it out.
Yeah, I just had to figure it out. And then over the course of that summer, turned that $500 into over 10 grand, which like for a 15-year-old was like, it's like mind blowing, right? And so that was over the course of the summer. And then I ended up stopping that. And then progressively just over time, like through the same communities and just figuring that out. Like I didn't really think of it as entrepreneurship. Started a web hosting company, various e-commerce stores, and even just like freelance website stuff. But all of it was using and marketing with like online advertising. Like I that's how I learned it. I actually like, we ended up building the web hosting company to like tens of thousands of people and eventually exiting that. And that was exiting that like right before I went to college for a year. And then I dropped out.
So you started entrepreneurship in high school and you like back then, like 10 years ago, it wasn't as popular as it is now. Like now it's like
no chance. Yeah, no.
How was that like trying to make money in high school? Like, did you get, like, we've had people on the show that like got called out for it.
I didn't tell anyone.
Really?
Yeah, nobody knew, like, except for like basically like my best friend at the time. Like he was like the only one that knew. And it wasn't like because I was going to like get called out. It was literally just like, I think like growing up, like I always had like, I have ADHD. So I just get these like these obsessions or like interests. So I was like, well, I get to make money and like work on tech. And that was always like my passion or something that I enjoyed at least. So that's just where I spent time. A lot of like growing up, man, like as far as like Facebook stuff and like that was all like basically online forums and like stuff like that, like to learn this stuff and figure it out. But there wasn't a ton of information out there, like learning it. But anyways, I went to college for a year, ended up dropping
in Colorado
out.
or
in Colorado. Yeah. Colorado State. And then dropped out.
Dude, that sounds like a giant waste of time when you're like building successful
It's just
businesses.
programming, man. Because like for me, like you said, like even when I went to college, there wasn't that many people posting about like entrepreneurship and being online and online businesses. So it was like when I went to college, it was just like it was literally like it's programming. Like I sold the business and I went to college and that was it. But then I got there and I found out like what the business professors had never made any businesses in their entire fucking life. Like none of that. So
yeah,
it was like,
especially not at Colorado State.
No, for sure not, man. So yeah,
if you go to like Stanford and you got like Peter Thiel teaching you, then yeah, that's probably worth it.
It's a little different, you know? But yeah, no, dropped out. And I was like, what kind of business should I start? I'm like, what do I know? And I was like, well, I know how to run online advertising. Like that's what I learned. That's a skill set that I had. So I was like, all right. And then that was right around the time that Ty Lopez dropped his SMMA course. I didn't end up buying it, but I just saw him talking about it. It's like, I know how to do that. So that's when I started my agency. And yeah, that was just, that was kind of like the progression. I started with were
you going after like local clients at first? Like
mainly local client, like anyone I could get at the beginning, and then pivoted to chiropractors only, built that up, ended up exiting that. And then when I exited that, because I was absolutely miserable.
Dude, like, I think people going after chiropractors and SMMA is also programming. It's like, you just like think.
Dude, I didn't
That's
even
what
know.
I thought too. I was like,
it was literally by accident.
I didn't know much about chiropractors either. And then I'm like, that's the niche. I think it's just like, when you're in high school, you get told you got to go to college. It's like when you start SMMA, you think I got to go after chiros or dentists.
That's so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting because like it's like one of my very first clients unintentionally like was a chiropractor. We ended up like spending like $300 for him and making him over like 60 grand. And it was like this, and I was like, wow. Like, and he ended up firing me because he had too many clients.
Yeah, dude.
This is like, he literally couldn't handle the clients we sent him. But I decided to go chiropractor route, built that up, exited it. And then, so when I rebuilt, I was like, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. That's when I decided to go high ticket, and only deal with like 15 clients at a time. Cause I was like, I'm not doing the multi-client route again.
Wow. Yeah, dude, I know. I had over 200 active chiro clients at one point. So
yeah, you understand the
It makes you question everything.
The misery that you can have. But yeah, man, for sure. That's kind of like what led me here.
It's because like we talked about it first earlier before we filmed today. Like people that are very like content creators or content creators first, business people second. I think chiropractors is a niche where they are they want to serve people first. They want to help people first. They're healers first, then business owners. So a lot of the times, logical things that just make sense to us don't make sense to them. Like I remember I had a chiropractor as well. I made him like 12K the first week. He's like, we got to slow this down. And you don't know why. He's like, I'm having to work more than I've ever had to work.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, man. and I've been there so many times. That was where I was like, well, and get more clients, built that up. You understand, like literally like having that many chiropractor clients and building that up was awesome. Like I think I helped a lot of people, which was really cool, but it was like, no, I had to go somewhere else. I had to do something else.
Do you feel like you had to earn the right to get to the next level, like along the way in each stage?
I think,
or do you think if you like started over again, you could just start with high ticket clients day one?
I think it's totally a belief system, man. Like at the end of the day, like you have to like, I'm not in a position where I can exit this agency, but that's totally fine with me. This is a cash flow agency. Like this, I feel very good about that. The biggest principle that I think is like at least one of them that has like completely changed the way that we operate and the way that we think, that I think is valuable. It's like somewhat like, I think it's difficult for people to fully internalize. Like you could hear it and be like, yeah, okay. Not you specifically, but like, especially people just starting off. But the idea is, and the belief system is, I'm never going to let the results of the people that have come before me or my prior results define what I think is possible in the future. And also how quickly I can actually achieve that. So it's like, could I start with high ticket clients? Yeah, for sure. Like, why not? Like, my buddy, actually in LA, I just talked to him. He just started his lead gen agency, started working with a real estate hedge fund. First client, real estate hedge fund, paying him, I think started paying him like $3K a month, or $4K a month or something like that. Bro, he spent like $1,000 and he's made them like $150,000. And just like within their first month of running ads. So it's like, and it's not like it's the same. Like there are different opportunities that like, if you solve a rich person's problem, like the richer the person that you're solving their problem, the more money typically you're going to make more easily because they can pay more in higher amounts.
They can pay a premium. Yeah.
Yeah. They can pay a premium. Exactly. And but it doesn't make low ticket bad at all. Like you can get multiple clients. Like if I lose a client, I lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue or in like for my agency, because we get rev share, because that's how much one person is worth to us. We'll replace it and we'll build it back up. And it doesn't happen that often. But it's like when you have multiple clients and you have a lot of clients, it's also a benefit because if one person leaves, it's like, who cares? It's a drop in the bucket, you know? So it's a little different. And I'm not saying
it's more copy and paste. Like one of the things that,
and to be clear, I'm not saying to like, you know, not care about your client's results or anything. I'm just saying like, you know, you won't have to worry about it at scale when
it's not going to change your life
for sure. 100%.
Interesting.
For sure.
So then you said, I'm going to get into high ticket. And then how did you like land your first high ticket client? And then how did you structure it? Was it like, when you say like, cause I know now you do rev share.
Yeah. Yep.
Minus or total revenue generated minus ad spend. And then you take a percentage of that. How did you do it when you first started?
That's how I did it. Yeah. But I had like a really good friend of mine, Jeremy Haynes. He literally just that's how he told me to do it. So I just copied him. As far as like the high ticket stuff though, it's like, the structure of the deal is like very simple. You just have a retainer, and a rev share component. And so as soon as the amount of the rev share in theory, like surpasses the retainer, that's when it's only rev share. So for example, let's just say you charge $5K, and 10% of revenue. As soon as you pass $50,000 in like revenue, so that's $5K at 10%. As soon as that happens, then then you get paid your rev share. Does that make sense? It's like it's not retainer plus rev share. It's a rev share with a minimum payment of 10K. And as soon as the rev share actually surpasses that, then that's when the rev share, it's only rev share. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But yeah, because it's the most fair to the business owner. And the reason we do profit after ad spend is that means we're incentivized to get a significant results. Yeah. I mean, like when we take, for example, like I was telling you, we took a client from like literally $0 to $1.2 million a month in less than 2 months. It's like, and that was just recently. It's like when we do that, like the retainer is almost like it doesn't matter anymore. But the retainer is important because it's a respect aspect. Like your client needs to listen to you, and it also has to be worth your time. As you go through different levels and you become more in demand, that's just what it has to pay.
It's just standard, yeah.
Yeah, it's just what you have to pay to work with somebody that delivers a high level of results. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I think that's really good because then you're not scaling for the sake of scaling, just for top line rev and ego. You're like, we're going to scale this thing because it's profitable.
100%.
Like one of my good friends was closing for an offer that hit was doing $1 million a month, and guess what the profit margin was?
10%.
0.
Really?
They were breaking even or losing money. So it's like, cool, you could spend a lot.
Yeah. So what's the point? Yeah. It's like, what the point? It's just like you're doing all this extra revenue and you're like, man, $1 million a month. And then you're making less than you would like on your own doing
working at Chipotle.
So crazy, man. But people, that's how people build their businesses. It sounds like the software world too. Like that's how they,
I think the software VC world is a giant scam. Literally, it's like, it does not make any logical sense. And if someone can maybe enlighten me on how it does, I'm
happy to tell you like why it works for these people, but I think you understand.
It's not profitable at all. And then it's like, okay, someone's dumped money. Let's then go ahead and sell it to the greater fool. Yep. Or to the next fool.
Yep.
Okay, you scale it up as much as possible, increase the valuation based on top line rev, based on
so funny.
And then it's like, let's sell it to the next greater fool. And it's like whoever holds the bag at the end is the one who loses. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it collapses.
Unless in the one circumstance, like somebody like Salesforce or something.
Yes, but that's the exception.
But then it's like diluted by so much to where it's like, then what? But no, I agree, bro.
And like, 100%. Dude, out of you guys, like I have a lot of respect for Becker. I follow his posts, but for every one software that crushes, there's also hundreds that don't make it. Like,
but he built it with he came from a different world too. You know, he didn't come from like the VC world. He came from like profit, like, software. Like he literally made software as a service because it is operating like a leverage service for data.
It's a leverage service, absolutely,
for data and attribution. So
yeah, I think I'm like, dude, I don't know. You just raise capital, then they're like, oh fuck, this is literally. Here's how I think the conversation goes in that VC room. Oh fuck, this isn't gonna work. We dumped 100 million. Who can we sell it to and raise another round?
Yeah, just prop it up with like, it's just like a pipe dream. But like, but then you realize the 100 mil for like some of these guys is like
nothing
worth. It's like nothing. It's pennies. So it's like,
damn. Yeah, they're like, hey, can you lend me a penny?
They don't care as long as one of the pennies ends up turning into like $10 or something.
Yeah. So then you got into the high ticket world. You started charging retainer plus rev share. If you had to go back in time, what would you do? How would you get your first client? If you had to go back in time, I know there's a lot of people just starting out in SMMA. They watch my content. They're like, Joel, how do I hit 10K a month? Knowing what you know now, I want your brain. How do you go from 0 to 10K a month?
Yeah, man, there's so many ways to do it. But I think like if I were to do it again with like no clients, like no case studies, nothing, and I was just starting over, what I would do is I would charge rev share. And that's just my opinion. Like for me, knowing me, right? And again, like if you're talking about like no skills, no nothing, it's like, it still might be the play because it's the easiest way. You get very picky about the clients you choose. I would either, number one, I would partner up with an agency that already has the results, at least to like white label and be able to like get some like clients under, because then you can leverage their case studies. and what they got going on to be able to like kind of leverage yourself up like more quickly into a higher tier. So I would do maybe something like that. Or if I couldn't do that, I would do rev share only and just make sure I'm getting the right clients that are actually capable of paying me out significant rev shares. And again, then it's no risk to anybody. And I know that the rev share is going to be worth more. But what I would do probably in that case, I would say, it's completely free, no retainer, contingent on you doing X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, if you do not do these things that are like, allow me to get my results, then I'll charge your card X. Like you're basically like saying like, hey, like, because, I respect your time. Like you would agree, like, in order to have something happen, like we need to make sure that like you're invested into this properly and I'm invested in this properly. So, this is what we're going to do. And then I would just kind of set up like, hey, as long as you do this, and this, then I won't charge you a dime. But in the off case, like for some reason, just to make sure that you understand that my time's valuable. If you don't do these things, then I'll, charge your card X, whatever. That's probably what I would do.
Do you think that the reason not most, but a lot of people don't get good client results is because they also picked the wrong client? I know one of the things I mentioned to you before we started the podcast, before we were filming, is not only are you a great media buyer, but you're also great at picking the right clients. My assumption is like if someone already has money, if someone has something established, it's easier to scale it. What are your thoughts on that?
It's like at the beginning, for sure. Like the answer is yes across the board. But like as you level up your skills, then over time, the client not reaching up to a certain point can be supplemented by the degree in which like the level of skills that you have. So if you're more talented at like, I could, I could take one product in an industry, craft the most amazing offer from it, just tell them to record it and it'll probably sell. Right. Now depending like whether they reach, 5 million or 10 million a month, which like any client we take on, like we have a full belief that like that client can scale at least to 50 or 100 million. Just because again, that's our goal, $1 billion a year. And so, but especially at the beginning, you got to take on the right clients. So if you can take on the right clients for a rev share where you limit their risk, again, like contingent on the work that they do, and be able to take on the right clients, then that rev share is going to be worth, if you get that client an extra $100,000 a month, which is not that difficult to do for the right clients, that's $10K a month on that client easily. And that's $10K a month from one client. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I think that like the saying goes, you need money to make money. It's like, it's also easier, not saying that you can't make money if you're starting from zero, but it is easier to make more money when you have money to play with, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And I think the same thing goes for like client results. If you take someone that's already successful, already has established offer, sales team.
Oh, 100%. Well, yeah,
even if it's a chiropractor's office.
To your point, no, they have to have money. Like they have to be able to deploy. They have to have success in like standing behind their business. Like they can't just be like you helping like the new videographer that comes in the space. Like
very hard.
It's not only just hard. It's like you might as well just like start the business that they're literally starting or something. Like because it's like then at least you're leveraging. You're keeping 100% of the profits. But 100%. You shouldn't start new like helping. I think
beginner. For sure. One of the flaws is a lot of beginners, they try to go for like the people that really need your marketing in order to thrive. They're just starting out or they're really struggling, but it's actually easier to go find the chiropractor office that has a whole front desk staff that can call the leads and warm them up.
Yeah, and they want it just as bad. Dude,
Yes.
I guarantee you that chiropractor, even successful chiropractors or anybody, like even like myself, like to a degree, and I'm sure you, like even though we've reached a certain level of success, we wake up with a certain amount of like, whether you want to call it like, not like anxiety, it's like just like internal like discourse or like frustration that for some whatever reason we're not growing as fast as we want to grow or we're not reaching where we want. That's what makes us successful.
Yeah, bro, I feel poor every day. I tell everyone we're all broke.
Yeah.
There's some guy out there that thinks 100 million is a penny.
Yeah, 100%. And that is a very real pain that if somebody could solve that, like you'd be willing to pay for. And that's just the truth. And so it's not just the person just starting off that has the pain. But I always say this.
Yeah, the person that is rich doesn't feel rich, so they also have the pain.
For sure.
And if you actually talk to most successful people, they all say, man, like I have so much more to go. Unless maybe talk to like Jeff Bezos. He's probably like...
Yeah, probably. I don't even know what that kind of wealth would do to your head, psychologically. I have no idea. But I would say this, like your ability to close clients and build a business comes down to your ability to build trust. And your ability to build trust comes down to your ability to articulate your client's internal dialogue better than anybody else. So effectively, like that's why organic works so well, is because you have so much time to do that, to articulate how they're feeling, what they think. Like, because you want them to, you can't like, hey, I'm going to help you scale your business. That's not what a chiropractor or any of these guys think to themselves. It's irrelevant languaging. And that's what most people do. Like, I'm gonna help you scale your business. I'm gonna help you get leads. Like, even like that specifically is like, is still like a B tier explanation. You have to go to the chiropractor and say, hey, listen, you're probably experiencing boom, 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 boom. Like specifically how they're like thinking of it in their head. And so if you can clearly articulate their internal dialogue better than anybody else and make them, wow, this guy like actually understands me. If you can build that skill, you're fine. Your ability to close clients, and obviously I'm not talking to you, just like anybody watching this, it's like your ability to close clients becomes like effortless, because that's like the one skill set that you could build that actually like allows you to build trust. But most people just don't even spend the time to like consider like what these people are actually going through, just carefully craft out and understand like what they're going to say, because otherwise they can't build any trust. It doesn't work.
Yeah, when I was starting my agency and we decided to niche down with chiropractors, one of the first things that I did was I went to the local BNI group and I told the chiropractor, I got to take you out to lunch. And I literally asked them everything there is to know about the chiropractic space, what they want, what they don't want, what they've tried, what they haven't tried.
Oh, you're smarter than I am, bro. I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. I joined a BNI group. I think I was like, I think I was just bumbling my way through it. That's so smart. Intuitively that you were able to know that, like, and do that is like, it took me so long to figure that out. So long.
Yeah. Like I think when I'm coming up with a new offer, the first thing that I try to do is reach out to the, someone that's the ideal prospect that would buy it and just ask them questions.
Yeah. I think that's super smart. No,
it's just market research. That's all it is. 100%. I just do it 1-to-1 as opposed to like with a survey. I just think you go deeper and be like, well, what kind of patients do you want? Well, we actually just got this stem wave machine that gets me high ticket patients. And you know what? I've been a chiropractor for years. I don't want to adjust people anymore. I'm tired. And I have to go through insurance to get paid. I want cash patients, high ticket, where I only have to see a few a day, maybe 3 or 5, not a fucking 100.
Yeah.
And I want to sell them on stem wave because I spent $150,000 on this machine and I'm in debt.
Yeah.
There's your pain points. It's not, I'll get you more appointments.
100%. No, I agree. No, you even just intuitively doing that, like, especially when you're starting in the chiropractor stuff, like, I would have been successful way faster if I had known that. It just,
So how do you do that now? Because you work with different kinds of clients. I know you're like with fitness clients, hypnosis, like financial services. How do you get to know the market so well on an intimate level?
I think so it depends, right? Like, so we do get a lot of word of mouth at this point, but like we run ads. We're just very specific to instead, if you can't be, the way I see it is if you can't be specific to a market in terms of like niche and industry, then create incredibly specific marketing to specific pain points. So like instead of going like niching down on in terms of languaging to like industry specific stuff, we niche down on like very specific like nuanced pain points, and we run a bunch of those different stuff in terms of the ads we run for Gambit, which is our one of the offers that we run as a runway to our agency. But yeah, we just.
What about for like your clients? Like, how do you understand their markets?
For like once we
like when you're running their ad, because you go from
we have
industry to industry to industry to industry. Like it's
for sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, people want more time, more money, like more health. Sure. They're very basic. But how do you get into the specifics?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you before ChatGPT, which we don't use ChatGPT to write much copy or anything like that. But what we found is it's like literally one of the best things we've ever done, like is use it for market research. It is so intuitive at finding like major, like what we'll do is, and again, I'll go into like a big process for what we do for market research. It's like a 3-day process for every client at the minimum, is going through and our market research process for every client. But like you said, we don't have that many clients. So it's like once
you do it once,
we can spend the time. Yeah. It's like we can spend the time on this new client to come in because it's like, and spend 3 days on this, make sure that everything's solid. And then we can, scale them as big as we do. But one of the big things that we've updated or done recently is we have specific prompts that really bring out like the deep, and I'll say this very specifically as I was developing this with my head copywriter. I was like, we were going through ChatGPT and we're like, basically go to the underlying and we'll tell ChatGPT to do this. Find me the pain points of the deep psychological, like survival and status-based motivations that drive human beings for this business. And we'll just keep asking that same question over and over and over again until it's flushed out like all the way. It just keeps deep diving into the specific languaging and things like that. And then we'll just eventually find like what works. Like we'll eventually find like something like we read that we're like, that's really, really good. And we'll be able to like leverage that in our copy. So as far as market research, like we use Amazon forums, Facebook, online. Like we'll even run engagement campaigns to find and build conversations to like dive in.
Really, that's smart.
But yeah, no. But then from there, yeah. I mean, ChatGPT, all of those things. I'm dead serious. All of those things that we used to do, we usually we'll find 90% of that just using that ChatGPT process. It's wild. It saves us an immense amount of time, and it's actually insanely accurate.
That's cool. I think normally we talk about more like basic level stuff on the podcast, but I really want everyone that's watching to or listening in to wrap their heads around how you think and how you process this at your level. Because I think it's just a different game. It's really about quality. It's really about process. It's really about principles. You talk about principles.
But as far as even people that are just starting off, or they want to start a chiropractic agency or a dentist agency, whatever that is, like you said, I mean, we were talking about this, it's way more copy and paste than what we do. So if you could even just run the same process for one industry, then you would only have to do it in theory one time. And then you could have the best process in the world. Like you could build literally unequivocally, as long as you just go through and you don't let any previous people that have come before you or your previous results define what you can do in this industry. You really creatively find some powerful, you could build the biggest company in the world for that. If you realize that there are no limitations on how quickly you can grow something. That's just the truth.
I think one of the things that I don't make mandatory, but I should, is if you're a beginner just starting out in SMMA, before you ever even do a free trial, you have to go and sit with a prospect for 2 hours. Just ask some questions. Don't you, that would make you so much better at sales. That would make you better. Cause it's all the same shit. Marketing is just sales at scale. You're having the conversation before the call, but then on the sales call, it's the same thing. You're going into discovery. And if you can just speak their language and understand their psychology and what they actually want, what they don't want, what are they going to do? They're going to trust you, which you said is the main thing that gets people to buy.
My client Marcel is the best closer I've ever seen. I swear to God. I've seen him close $1 million upfront contracts with his one-on-one clients, $1 million a year to work with him for 4 sessions a month for a year. And people pay it all day long because again, the value is obviously unequivocally there for the guys that are at that level, but he'll close those deals in 15 minutes. Somebody's never talked to him. And the reason is he knows him, understands him. He understands this is his skill, understanding the subconscious and human behavior. and influence and understanding that. I've seen him do it. I've been there while he's done it. It's the craziest thing, but it starts with an understanding of people. So if you did that for for everybody coming into your
it's mandatory.
Started, it probably would work quite. Like
all right, I'm going to say results. If you're a teenager right now and you want to get the 10K month in SMMA, you're not allowed to close a fucking client, not even one person, no free trials until you go and sit with your ideal prospect for 2 hours.
Just pay for
you're welcome.
Pay for their lunch or something. Pay.
Show up to
a pay $100, $150 and go to like a steakhouse or something. Like take them or like sushi. Take them to a nice place and just vibe with them for like 2 hours. Also,
and then they'll probably become a client.
Yeah, and probably be a human being. Yeah, just be a human being and like actually just be interested. Because if you're doing this and you don't show interest, not only in the business, but just the people you're working with.
And you show interest in them.
What chance do you have as a marketer? Marketing requires a significant amount of empathy. So it's like, if you can't develop that skill, like you're fucked. You're so fucked.
Bro, every teenager listening right now that wants to hit 10K a month, go find a roofer, go find a chiropractor, gym owner, take them to a steakhouse for 2 hours and you'll get to 10K a month faster.
Listen, I don't know if that worked, but it might.
It would actually, I think it would make a huge difference.
I believe you. Yeah, no, I believe you.
I think it would make a huge difference. I just, like, for example, one thing that I've noticed, like a lot of beginners will are like on Go HighLevel and talk about all this complicated shit with roofers. Dude, roofers don't give a fuck.
No,
they're like,
no chance.
I just want leads. I want them to be my own leads. I want them to actually show up, and I want them to need roof repair. You get me those three things, actual conversations with people, they're happy.
100%. Like the biggest, like from Marcel's, like I hear the sales script he uses to close these high ticket deals in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes with his sales team. I took it and applied it to our sales script. I just like made it our own. It's like 15 minutes. People never ask about all the little intricate details, all of the processes and the logic. Like as long as you have you have to have if you're charging high ticket prices, like for your own services, yeah, you have to have case studies and
you have to earn the right.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're just starting off, it's like, as long as you just take them through the process of leading them through their, like what they want, making sure they understand that they're not going to get there on their own, like things like that a lot of, like, I'm sure you teach your students. It's like, as long as you go through that process, like you have to understand, like nobody cares about the details at all. Like the details of how they just want the result. They don't care. Like you could give them an ebook. They're like you get them through and you're like, here's an ebook. Like this is going to show you exactly how to do it. They probably buy it. It's just as long as it's something that's going to solve their need. Like they don't care if it's you offering services and all the high level and all this stuff, or if it's like literally like an audio track. It's like, as long as it gets them the result, they'll probably do it. That's just the truth.
And there's so many beginners too that just overcomplicate everything. Something that I've had to do is like simplify. And what happens is when they can't close someone, instead of just going back to principles, fundamentals, like human psychology, understanding their needs, their desires, what they hate, what they fear, they're like, okay, instead of doing paper show, I'm going to do paper show with half of upfront. I'll cover the ad spend. Like they overcomplicate it. And I'm going to add TikTok ads and SEO and Facebook ads. It's like,
yeah, you're qualifying. You can't qualify yourself. This isn't any like interaction, like whether it's like sales or anything. Like you can't qualify to your prospect. Like otherwise, why would they listen to you? It's the same thing. Like if you're like in dating or like, like just in literally anything, like if you're trying to like get somebody's respect or trust, you can't like, I'll give you this and all this. And it's like, no, you're qualifying. Like you're needy and you're qualifying. They know that you need the deal, which means if they know that you need the deal or you're desperate for it, they can't trust you, because they know inherently in that like qualification and neediness, you are basically stating to them subconsciously or consciously that you care more about yourself than you care about them. That's just the truth. It's like, I need this to feel X about myself or to get this money. It's like, instead of like, yeah, I'm whether you need it or not, like I know I can help you. Like, just to be clear, like it's just what I know. Like I don't, whether you want to work with me or not, it's totally up to you. But at the end of the day, like that's just the frame, right? It's not like you're saying that, but like that's the frame.
So how do you, when a beginner does need it, how do you get yourself out of that frame?
So I have a principle that I've kind of developed for myself that it's like a core belief system, and it's like it is like a paradigm belief that if you don't operate from this way, then you're approaching, like, your perspective is too micro, meaning, we'll start here. This is the belief. I'd rather lose today and win for the rest of my life. That's the belief system. So the question for all of you that are like needy, feeling needy and like, I need this. It's like, the belief then would be, I'd rather lose this deal and be rich for the rest of my life than win this deal and be poor for the rest of my life. Because it's not the skill set. The skill set isn't going and, how do I say this? It's like the skill set isn't going and like your ability to close every single deal or get every single deal or get the deal right now. That's not what determines your long-term success or you being successful at all. At the end of the day, the skill is being consistent over a long enough period of time and doing the right things. Sometimes the right thing just requires you detaching from the outcome. That's the right perspective. It's the identity that develops the result. And your needy identity is not indicative or like does not give you the way I always see it is like when you think of yourself with the cars or the home or the money or the travel, all of those things, like, and you imagine yourself in the future where you are you and you're doing all those things. Did all of those things, did you become that person, that identity, that future person as a result of getting those things? Or did you get those things, the cars, the travel, as a result of being that person? So the paradigm switch is you will never get those things if you don't first become that person. It's impossible.
How do you become that person?
By detaching and remembering the belief system. So there's two pieces. There's skill set and there's mindset, right? So you first ask yourself, what does that future person believe that I don't currently believe now? What are the belief systems that he has? And you just kind of take a step back. You close your eyes. You think of yourself in that person in the future, and you say, okay, what are the beliefs that he has or she has that I don't have right now? And then the counterpoint is, what beliefs did he or she get rid of? Like, what did he remove from his life that I currently have? So you first get really clear on those things, and not to say it'll change right away, but once you're aware of it,
you have a focal point.
Exactly. You can start to like condition yourself as a North Star away from that. And then the second part is skill set. So what does that person know that I don't currently know? So that's just what do you learn, like attending, like, and take, whether it's a course or a mentorship or acquiring the knowledge that you need that he or she has in the future as the hack. You define where you want to go, and then you define the person, that identity that is associated with that future outcome. And this is at every level, $1 million a month, 10 million a month, or 10K a month. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You have to literally go through this process over and over and over again. This is the hack to get there faster, is by taking a step back. First you define it, and as soon as you've defined it, you let go of having it right now. The only thing that matters is just being that person. Because if you're not that person, you are incapable of ever achieving those results whatsoever, period.
What beliefs do you believe you need to have to get to the next level?
No, what beliefs? Because that's very difficult. That's where you're thinking of it as you yourself now. The reframe to that is what you think of yourself in the future, and you ask yourself, what beliefs does that person have?
Yeah, I'm asking for you. What?
Oh, for me.
Yes. Like,
I was like, sorry. I was just like, I thought you were just restating. Yeah. What's up?
If you did that, like right now, what beliefs does the future you need to have to be at $1 billion in client results? I'm just curious. And what beliefs do you need to get rid of? Like, if you took yourself through this exercise, I'm just curious what would come out.
So I do this exercise. So the primary, cause I try to do things in terms of threes, cause that's all I can remember. So the belief I need to add is that, creating hundreds of millions of dollars a year is easy. That's one belief system. The second thing is, the leverage to create $1 million, or the second thing is the leverage to create $1 million or / creating $1 million, $100 million a year. Sorry, what am I trying? $100 million a year is not a lot of money. That's the other belief system, because in order to make it achievable quickly, I have to know, and my belief system has to be conditioned around $100 million a year not being a lot of money. And the one I need,
it's easy.
Yeah, so it's easy.
Not a lot.
It's not a lot. And then the one I needed to get rid of for me is that, and this is just a personal thing, is that I'm not good at focusing for long periods of time. So that's been a belief I've had for a long period of time because I have ADHD. And so
and you identify with it.
I identified with it.
I'll give you an example. Something that, like, I also have ADHD. I got it, like, whatever. I went through the fucking process.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, I'm literally driving and I'll like go the other direction because I'm thinking about something else.
Yeah.
And I have a Tesla that drives itself. Like, bro, how did I end up here? But you know what? One of the, like, long ago, I went out to dinner with Hermosi, and he was here in Denver. And one of the things he told me is stop, even if you have a belief, like, just stop identifying with it. Like, so like, I stopped telling, like, I used to, when I first found out I had ADHD, I told everyone. And then over time, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to just stop saying that I have this, I am this. I don't know. There's just a thought, but
no, it is. And no, I think it's good, bro. Like, I actually, like, I really value what you just said, because that's likely something I'm going to spend a lot of time thinking about. Because instead of, like, disassociating from ADHD, I was, like, only disassociating from the one aspect of it, which was focus. But yeah, no, it probably would be even a better approach to disassociate it from completely. Although I will say that I think the superpower of people with ADHD is because they, in theory, aren't able to, physiologically able to control the mechanism that allows them to focus consciously, which is, like, kind of a big part of that. It means that when we can focus, we focus on the right things. Our brain is literally optimized to focus on what's leveraged to make sure we get the outcome we need within the time period that we can focus, which is actually something that, like, a lot of people don't have access to, because if you don't have that, then you're focusing on everything. And you end up getting, like, focusing on things that don't actually matter.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, with ADHD, you're either going to be good at life or good at business. You got to pick one and delegate the other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I have a cleaning person that comes to my house every other day.
100%.
Like, every other day. Like, it has to be on point, because if not, like, ADHD, you just focus on the things you care about, you're interested in. Yeah. And I wouldn't even say interested in. It's like, what's most top of mind? Like, that's what you focus on, and it's like you lose track of everything else.
It's like you're almost like, not that I've done that much surfing, but it's like you're almost like surfing this wave of attention. It's like you get, like, pushed this way, then you get pushed that way. But
when you're riding the wave,
exactly,
you're crushing the wave.
Yeah, exactly. But over time, you learn to, like, even if you can, like, kind of recognize when you're on the wrong way. Again, this analogy is absolute garbage because I don't.
We live in Colorado.
But,
there's no
but
ways.
anyways, in theory, that's the way I see it. But yeah, no, I actually think disassociating from the identity completely might be at least something to play around with.
Yeah, that's what.
See, at least
that's what the Hermosi said. They said, Joel, stop saying that you're this type of person.
Yeah.
Even if it's true.
I believe you.
What other principles do you have in business?
Yeah.
Or in life?
Yeah, for sure. I'll teach you what has been probably the most, like, significant exercise that I make my team do, and that I do every single week. That's really changed the speed in which we achieve things. So the first thing is that my belief is that the goal is to collapse time, not to create money. And so I think that belief system was probably, like, created from Hermosi partially and other people. But, it's not, you don't want to make, I don't want to hit $1 billion a year in sales for our clients and, in over 60 years, that's not my goal. So I kind of, like, continued that. And then in another area that I was talking to you about that I don't tell many people about in terms of making money that I do, I came up with this exercise that I called the 7-day time compression. And I do this every week, and my team does this every week. And no matter what level you're at, it can be insanely beneficial. Actually, not only it can, if you apply it, it'll guaranteed it'll make you more money. So this was actually developed for us trying to figure out how to do $1 million a month or add $1 million a month on new offers as quickly as humanly possible. And so it's this realm of thinking. First, you define a 90-day quarterly goal, right? And then once you have that, you ask yourself this question: what would need to happen over the next 7 days for if I had a gun to my head, like I literally had 7 days to achieve this 90-day goal? What would need to, like, what action steps would need to be executed in order for me to actually achieve, like, legitimately with 100% real expectation, achieve this 90-day goal in just 1 week? And what creatively would need to change, or what creative approaches that can we take that we haven't in the past in order to make sure that happens? So not like, how can we like be on track in 7 days? No, like, how can we actually achieve this entire 90-day goal? Now, to be fair, we don't actually usually achieve the 90-day goal in 7 days, but as a result of going through this principle of like, how can we literally like compress time into this way of thinking? And so I'll go through that process, define it for myself, for the team, then each individual team member, and then we'll come together on like Mondays or Tuesdays and we'll talk about that approach. So, and we'll do this for every client too. So we have it very optimized, but this way of thinking has allowed us to create more wealth in a shorter period of time than you can possibly imagine.
I love that.
And it's good for beginners too, because they like to think of things like, they think very low level, right? And that's fine. Like, because I'm saying that
all the things you've shared, like, insane. I love those principles, and I'm going to implement those with my team and with myself. The idea of compressing time, even if you don't hit the goal, it like forces you to think like, what would it actually take? And I think that's the thinking that way. And you know what's crazy? I studied philosophy in college because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I also come from a Hispanic family, and it's like, I got to go to college or else.
Yeah.
And I took business classes, and I'm like, this is a giant waste of time, just like you thought. And I took a philosophy class. I'm like, okay, this is actually very challenging. This is challenging me, and I can't find the answer. And it really tapped into my competitive drive. One of my professors said, Joel, the point is to ask the question, not to find the answer. And I think that's kind of the point with these exercises. It's like, the point is to ask the question, go through the mental challenge of like, what would it take to hit this goal in rapid time?
Well, and it forces you into a box too, because you're approaching it with the realistic like drive to do it. Like, you want to do it, because otherwise you're not forcing yourself into a competitive and also creative place to actually think in different ways to accomplish these goals. Because usually you have to change your identity, usually is what you find on each level, both as an individual and as a team, because your team is just made up of individuals, and you have to level up their identity and your identity over time to reach bigger and bigger goals, which is just kind of part of it. But no, 100%. Like, the purpose is asking the questions to change yourself effectively, to then raise the level of who you are, so that
raise your level of thinking.
Exactly. So that you can, and your belief systems and your knowledge, so that you can become that person, with like, kind of like what we talked about.
All right. So you're one of the best media buyers in the world. What platforms are you guys running on right now? I know you do a lot of Facebook and Instagram. Do you guys do a lot of YouTube and TikTok?
Less YouTube, actually. TikTok for sure, though. 100%.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok?
Yeah.
How do you determine where your market will cap out when you're running an offer? Like, how much do you think you can spend per day without diminishing returns?
That's irrelevant. You have no idea. You just test. I mean, like, in theory, you could like say like you might start to cap out around like $2-3 million a month. And then from there, but like, different markets are completely different, and to put limiting beliefs upon.
So do you but eventually do you feel like some do cap out?
Of course. Like, I mean, you're going to cap out, at least in like your approach, your marketing, like how you're targeting the audience, like demographically, psychographically, you will run into limitations for sure as you scale. But again, like, the question in itself is like, I would never
don't ask that question.
It's like, be aware, like once you get there, but for most people that are just starting off or they're
not
trying
even
to
close.
get there, it's like, it's so far outside of what they should be considering.
What is the biggest factor in keeping your cost per conversion low? Creative, targeting, copy,
Yeah. So,
or something else, maybe something.
no,
I don't know.
it's like core offer, probably like and making sure, like we talked about, articulating your prospect's internal dialogue better than anybody
So offer
else.
and positioning.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Like, I mean, there's 100 different things that I could tell you as far as like lowering costs, like by like incremental degrees, but that's the most important.
I love it. Let's see. Do you guys write a lot of your creatives completely in-house, or do you take a lot of inspiration from big successful campaigns you've seen in the past? Both? Mm-hmm. All right, more rapid fire. CBO or ABO? Both?
Wherever the profit is. We like
just test everything.
Yeah, we like ABO a lot right now. But see, I mean, again, some people have, like some of our clients just crush it with CBO. So it's like deploy, the biggest, in my opinion, the most important thing is creative. And then like as far as CTR, like click-through rate, your headlines are obviously very important too. But like from there, it's like, to be very direct, it's both. Like test both.
I have a feeling you're going to say it's both to all these, but I'm going to make you pick one. If you had to, so here's this. If you had to pick between story placement or feed right now, what would you pick? You had to, gun to your head, you have to pick.
Feed for high ticket.
Gun to your head, you have to pick dynamic or regular.
Regular.
Gun to your head, you have to pick image or video.
Both.
That's good. All right, I'll let you get one. No more boths on this next one. Small budget with a lot of ad sets or big budget on just a couple?
Small on multiple ad sets.
Facebook or TikTok? Gun to your head. Can't say both.
Meta.
Interests or lookalikes?
Interest for testing and lookalikes for scale.
All right, let's see. What are your thoughts on the type of funnel that or like the mechanism to convert someone? Like I know like DM ads have been crushing for a lot of people. I know like from the funnels that I've seen you run, you take them through a VSL application, book a call. Like, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, probably like VSL or mini webinar to book a call is my favorite. But that being said, like we're having a ton of like having a really effective setting team running lead ads that segment out based off of like qualifying questions. And then just, and then having setters hit those up and book those calls. So then pushing those to the VSL. So having them an opportunity to book on the back end and having setters.
So lead forms?
Yeah. Like instant lead forms. Yeah.
With like, some disqualifier. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. What would you say is the most important part of turning leads that you generate or meetings even into meetings that actually show up and close? Do you focus more on nurturing the sales team? Like what would you say is your biggest factor? If you had to
for show rate?
I would say show up and close. Like how do you, because a lot of the reason I ask is like a lot of people can run an ad and generate an appointment. A lot of people can run an ad and generate a lead. Not a lot of people can run an ad that generates a lead or an appointment that shows up and closes. If you had to pick one thing that made this thing the biggest determining factor, I know there's a lot. What would you say this is what I'm going to focus on? Is it the sales team? Is it the
having a full-time appointment confirmation team? Like to pre-frame, like to get in there, you can pre-frame, tell, and again, there's multiple things, but like you could have like a nurturing video that you think really sets the frame for the call, but having appointment setters call within 5 minutes of leads booking a call, confirming the appointment and getting them excited, and then also pre-framing that they should watch that thing is like, that's like a very high leverage move for sure. Because most people think setters and other things, but yeah, that's,
getting setters to essentially call, confirm within 5 minutes, and then getting them to do the pre-call homework.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Love that, man. This is super valuable. Let's see if there's any other good. Well, I know there's some good ones. My team wrote these.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm ready.
What is your process for determining? We have like 6 more, and then we can wrap up.
Hit me, man. I'm ready. What
is your process for determining the funnel type, platform, ad type when looking at new offers?
funnel type. What can you say that again? Funnel
like,
type.
Essentially, it's like, how do you come up with the entire strategy? Is it like case by case? Is it like,
yeah. So it's like, we have so much data. It's like whatever that offer most closely reflects or like looks like another offer that we've run. Our whole principle is about repeating successful actions. So we're just gonna.
That's another one of your principles.
Yeah,
you've said it a few times.
Yeah, for sure. So we just want to like take what's already working or what has worked in the past, use that as a base. Even if it doesn't fully work, it's just about solving bottlenecks to then eventually have it like work how we want. But yeah, no, as far as like, approaching strategy, that's how we do it at least. As far as like picking, then I would just pick something that even you think is working for somebody else as far as structure, and then platform. Like to be honest, I think starting a new offer, you just start a meta. I think for high ticket specifically. TikTok you can get to later. I think you have to have way better creative on TikTok to make it work.
What's your favorite strategy to fix ads that have stagnated? Do you kill them or do you try to fix them?
Relaunch, see if that helps. Like relaunch at a lower budget, like basically reset it, same ad, same campaign, turn it off, duplicate it, relaunch at a lower budget, see if that works. If it doesn't work, create a variation on the creative, see if that works. As far as like, you could add captions, you could add B-roll, you could add any sort of different variations to that creative, see if you can revitalize it. If not, create another piece of creative. Assuming this creative has already worked and this ad has already worked, create another piece of creative that basically says the exact same thing. You just film a different ad for it. See if that works, or test very small, minute variations.
So first you're trying to see if Meta is just being an asshole and you just relaunch it. And then at a smaller budget.
Yeah, just reset the AI.
Creative.
Yeah, just reset the AI. Because if you think about it, like AI, if you have it go long enough without new data, or you just let it over optimize, it'll optimize to the point where like, it's basically just giving you the same answer over and over and over again, which like, again, turns into a variation of ad fatigue.
All right. Speaking of AI, it ties into the next question. How much are you using AI for ad copy?
We don't use it for our stuff, but like I talked about earlier though.
For research
and different ideas and messaging, but like it doesn't complete ideas in the way that we want. Although I've seen a lot of good people with new tools that are coming out that I am excited to start trying, but I mean, it's not consistent enough for us to like allow it to work. Like we need to move faster than it's fast moving right now, but we're ready to adopt it fully whenever it does reach that point.
Do you have any favorite automated rules for scaling?
Automated rules for scaling. It depends. High ticket is like one of those really tricky things that like, you could get a sale a week later. You could say, hey, within the first 3 days, if it gets a sale, you could say within the first week. So there is a lot of manual perspective, because you have to, like, when you're scaling high ticket, it's not like selling like products. You get instant sale and like it's rules. It's very simple. But because there's that lagging indicator of like sale,
yes,
makes it difficult. But yeah, no, there are. If your team does actually want to know and like wants my perspective, I can talk to them about it.
Yes, it was more. They sent me questions that they think people.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this is like, again.
It would be
most of the people watching are like not exposed to this level of thinking and
for sure.
detail.
I think then automate it. Like you shouldn't automate something you don't already understand. Is my perspective. Like automation should be a stop loss or a fail safe behind like a skill set that's already established. Because if you don't understand why it works and you're just relying on automated rules, there's a lot of times that it'll fail you, and it'll cause you to either slow down or something to go wrong. So if you don't understand the skill to begin with, to where you can automate it by yourself, then there's no point in like automating it for sure.
What is your favorite campaign that you've ever worked on?
Like, I don't know. I don't think I have one. I get like, part of the ADHD or not ADHD that I have. It's like working on different clients, different accounts, keeping things new and fresh. Like, I just care. I like seeing the results of the clients and seeing the people that come in through what we do and the results they get and stuff like that. So it's like every offer I work on, I enjoy. Otherwise, I don't take them on as a client.
What is your, what accounts or people do you follow for inspiration for advertising?
Inspiration for advertising. I follow Hermosi. I like his principles. I think like marketing is just an extension of belief systems. So it's like, if I can just optimize the way I think or my team, then like we'll get better results. You know, he's in the more e-com and like low ticket, but he does do some high ticket. Deepesh Mandalia. I really respect him a lot as far as a media buyer, and we've taken some of his principles and really adapted it. It's helped us. Inspiration though, I don't really do. I don't know. Maybe guys with yachts and big planes. No, I'm just kidding. You know, like just guys that are like higher level than me, like just that cause me. And again, like if I can put myself in a position where, again, like 100 million isn't a lot of money, like those belief systems, things like that.
You need to get in that VC room where they're like, oh fuck, we spent 150 on the software. It didn't
work.
Should we go out to, what do you guys want for dinner?
Yeah. It's like, what are we having again? No.
Steak or sushi, you know? But
yeah, no, I think I like, you know, him but I buy everybody's courses. So does the team. Like I just always want to keep improving. So
love it.
Yeah.
Steak or sushi?
Sushi.
Nice.
Big sushi guy.
Sushi Den in Denver?
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Eddie had him on the podcast. He loves that place. That's like the go-to when we come to Denver. But there's not that many sushi spots.
No, there's
like
not.
Colorado's not.
I love steak though. You know, we got some. I think Colorado does steakhouses pretty good.
Yeah,
I think we crush.
I think they have a good steak at the Kitchen. It's Elon Musk's brother's restaurant. I don't know if you've been there.
No,
it's really fucking good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to go sometime. It'll be fun.
Before we roll, any final words of advice, wisdom that you would want to share, and then where can people find you? Feel free to plug whatever you want.
Yeah, pieces of advice. No matter what level you are at, just remember like not to limit your level of what you think is possible, but also set your expectations properly. Like if you want to work, like if you want to hit 100 million or you want to do like hit higher level, then you either need to like upgrade yourself or upgrade your team. Because a lot of people try to like fit the same team members or like agencies and stuff like that, or mentors into like that same category, no matter where you're at. But yeah, no, if you want to, I barely post there, but like if you want to reach out to me or you have questions, it's just at Shawn, SHAWN HVS, at Shawn HVS on Instagram. And if for some reason you are a high ticket service based business, we don't take on that many clients, but just go to gambitsociety.com. That's just where we have our accelerator where we guarantee results there, just to be clear, every single penny. And we're adding $1 million to $3 million a month on average in less than 6 months to our clients. So if that's you in that rare case and you're watching this,
there's definitely a few.
Yeah.
We got thousands of people watching. So
sick.
Wait, one last thing. We're going to plug his IG, his links in the description, so you'll easily be able to access them. So literally just click below.
Fuck yeah, man.
Sean, dude.
It's been fun.
Yeah, you had a good time?
Yeah, no. I love these conversations, man. I'm always down. You guys are fucking awesome. You're crushing it, and you guys help a lot of people. I think, like, you know, if you're watching this, like, and you're even considering, or you just been watching him, you haven't pulled the trigger on like actually working with somebody like this.
Yeah, tell him to stop being a bitch.
Yeah, you just say, you know, got to level up that identity in your belief systems. Got to get rid of those bad belief systems.
Yeah, there was this one teenager. He's 15. He's at like 10K a month working with HVAC companies, and his dean found out, and he should have just bought a new computer, but he used the school computer, and they were like, we're gonna expel you and come after you
for what? Like what?
For making money, for threatening the matrix, you know.
They're gonna expel him for like starting a business.
They were threatening to, yeah. But anyways,
God,
so guys, if you want to join that community where we make teenagers rich, definitely do it. And awesome. That's pretty much it.
Sick.
Lyndon, do you have any questions? All right, well, we'll ask them behind the scenes. Thank you, guys.
All right, sick.